DC Beats.
Look, I'm a trip, so I'll pay for the bag. The trips in the city, they keep me taking. Welcome, my ballers. Welcome back to our second guest, Ibby from Clinical Football. Now, this man, he's a mastermind in the game. For example, he played in Europe, played in Australia. He's a coach for the under-17 Leone team, which alongside with me, we won it last year. Man who got great experience in the game. So yeah, Ibby, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow, that was a massive intro.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
You got a good CV,
It was
bro.
a massive intro. Had a little bit of a CV thing going on, but yeah. Firstly, it's a joy to be on this. I listened to some of the previous episodes, so this is dope. So I'm happy to be here.
Nah, it's a pleasure to have you, bro.
Yeah, and just talk as much football and knowledge, and just let's get it.
Let's go, bro. First question.
Nah.
Let me jump in there, cause I got too intrigued, bro.
Fire away! I'm all up for it. So
Yeah. Where did your playing career start?
So playing career, football was actually introduced to me by my dad, actually. So in '94, right? You used to put on the TV and watch the FIFA World Cup. This was in the US. So this was like a thing that was around my house, just watching football from FIFA 94, World Cup 94, and then World Cup 98 when Nigeria had that buzz going.
Yeah, I remember that.
So this was when Okocha was the thing.
Bro, what a baller, cuz. Top 5 favorite ballers.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it was a baller and just yeah, you got that. So I'm taking you back to when it sort of grew on me, and I once he did this skill. I don't think it was against Denmark or something. Yeah. The crossover skill. So I went over to the park one time. I was playing with my Sierra Leonean community people, right? And I tried to pull this skill off, and it was like, Okocha! I was like, no, I'm trying. And then they just kept giving me that namesake, and I was like, this is when it sort of grew on me. So from there, I was just...
Wait, before you keep going, did you pull off the skill move or not?
Well, I pulled it off, but I didn't pull it off against somebody.
Okay, yeah.
So it was just like a practice run before the game actually started.
Yeah.
I wasn't confident to use it in the skill, but that's what it sort of, that fever came onto me, and that was dope. It was just a thing that grew on me, and then I kept on watching a lot of football on SBS. This is when Serie A was like the EPL in its own.
Yeah.
So you had like Edgar Davids and Zidane and all these
Clarence
guys.
Seedorf, Gattuso.
Absolutely.
Del Piero.
Yeah, you had Del Piero. Yeah, you had all these legends, and it was just, that sort of grew on me. So that's when it started to be a thing for me, and I started playing high school soccer, and then started playing local. My first local team, believe it or not, was in Elwood. And I started off there, and then and from obviously started grassroots, because grassroots was easy, not
Was this
too
back in the
expensive.
US or UK?
This was here. So
in Australia.
So grassroots I started here.
Yeah.
Then go through the NPL system, NPL 3 to under 18s, under 20s, and then I went abroad to the US.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so US, how that came about was, when you're like in that phase where you're going from under 20s to first grade.
Yeah.
And it's like a grey area. You don't know if they're going to keep you on or not. And then I was exploring options, and then something came about. They're like, they're doing scholarships and things. So I put together a video, sent it out to some recruiters. So they like what they saw, and then they were quick about it. So they send over there's like I can't remember what they call it. Yeah, they sent that with the visa paper things, and then boom, I was over there. So it was dope. It was dope. Like football, everything moves fast, and that was definitely experience. So I was playing in Washington, I was playing in Kansas. So it was dope. It was definitely dope. So yeah.
Nah, because we were a few episodes ago, we were saying how important it is to like get as much footage, try and have like a CV ready and things like that.
Absolutely.
And I guess that just speaks on that as well. Like it's so important because an opportunity can come up tomorrow. Like even same thing, like having your passport ready, things like that.
Absolutely.
Because what if a scout loves you? They say we want to get you, you know, this country, but you got to go through the passport process and then you know what I
takes a
mean?
long
Like it's
Absolutely. That's why
if you're serious about it, you got to be ready.
yeah, with football you gotta there's a couple of things you gotta work on short notice. Because at any time an opportunity could snap up. You just have to be ready. You got to be ready to. Sometimes you might have to jump on that plane. The next day.
If you're a serious baller and it's like, all right, their men's like their first grade, like first team, like striker might have just broken their leg last week. Boom, and if you're actually good, they see potential in you. All right, you're filling in that gap. You know,
that's how you improve. That's how you
absolutely.
You can't say no, like, oh yeah, next year I'm ready, but boom, he's recovered by next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to have that stay ready mentality. That you just got to stay ready. Like you got to.
You don't get ready, you stay ready. Huh?
Absolutely.
That's it.
So like, you know, you were talking about the under-20s, how that age is just such a great area. Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like, you know, that age for me personally, the hardest age ever.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it, obviously, yes, when you're 19, turning 20 or 20, 21, and like you're in the team, however, but you're not. Sometimes are you looking at like usually you sort of get an idea when they're putting you towards some first grade opportunities.
Yeah.
And then it sort of looks like you're in their plans. But however, anything can change. New coaches come in, new technical director comes in, and it's a whole clean slate. And it's just like you trying to prove yourself. The challenging part of it is knowing whether, because obviously you're trying to you're trying to keep your options open, because if they don't take you, what's my next thing?
Yeah.
And they usually tell you right at the end of the season, like, oh yeah, by the way, you're not staying back. And it's like,
that's why
Charles team's already full out.
it's the worst,
so it's always in your best interest to look after look after yourself, look after your best interests. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you can ask the question, I say like, what's my situation here or whatnot. Sometimes they give you a yes or a no, sometimes they don't know. So you got to look after for yourself. But I think it's just being proactive rather than reactive, and then hopefully it falls into place. But football is not always a planned sort of thing, so you try to do your best as you can and then be ready for the next opportunity. So
how was sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
How was your time in the US? Like, what was the football difference between us and them at that time? Because what year was that?
I think
was that when the NSL was still on, or was that?
It was. I think there was a time when NSL
transitioned.
Transitioned to A-League.
Yeah.
I think it was just coming about. I think the time I went, I think A-League was kicking off. It was just kicking off. So when I think the difference was when you were there, right? Everything was in schedule of training full time, because everything revolved around that.
Yeah, they take those sports a lot more serious, at that.
Absolutely. So you were training every day. So you're doing like 10 a.m.s, and sometimes in off pre-season you're doing 2 a days, 3 a days.
Wow.
Games were coming quick and fast. That's the different thing over there, is like games come thick and fast, and it's quite intense. So they try to when they do the season over there, it's jam packed, but at the same time you're traveling and you're doing uni and stuff like that. So it's definitely a challenge. But in terms of the football wise, I'd say it's like a quick pace sort of game.
Okay.
And they bring in obviously foreigners from, like, there's some foreigners
South American.
from Mexican players, some Jamaican players, from different parts of the US, and then they come in and they try to keep you on your toes to stay in the starting 11. So it's dope, definitely.
So would you say that the quality of football at that time was better in America?
I think at the time it was still rising at the time, because MLS was. When I was there, I think it was the time when David Beckham was bringing the football up over there.
Sick.
And then I think Ibrahimovic came over there. I think he did.
He was at Galaxy.
He came over there, and they were raising the name up a bit, and it was good because they were starting to build pathways to go into the
Europe
MLS. So it was quite good, and I think that they did a really good job of bringing household names to boost the level up, and then a lot of kids were playing football over there. So.
I think there's a little bit of bias there, you know. Nah, in terms of like, when you look at the Saudi league, and you look at the American league. When the American league was bringing all these big players, the media was it's like dead silent. It's like, when the Saudi does it, it's like, nah, they're doing for money.
Yeah, I know.
But anyways, in terms of like football in Australia, personally for me, I don't think like American football compared to Australian football is much different. I think the only difference is just the system.
Yeah, it's just in terms of, I get what you mean in terms of probably quality of
Like
play.
quality probably still the same thing. It's just the system. Like if we had the same system that America has in Australia, I reckon we Australians can create better quality players than them.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the fact, like, I think obviously they got a lot of universities and college systems and things like that. So it sort of gives a lot of opportunity to those players that are between 18 and 21 to
that's what
sort of sink their teeth in throughout. And if they do well, they can, you know, get in the door of the MLS or the divisions below. So
if they don't, they can still study.
So it's sort of you're killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. So that's a good thing. And then your parents can't really say, oh well, you know, you've got a plan B and a plan A there. So.
Yeah, they can't really say anything.
Yeah, so
I don't know, because like there's a lot of good like talent coming out of America in the last couple of years. So I think their system's kind of working in that sense. Like I wish we had that.
I think
bro, they have
Juventus, but I don't know if he went through that system though.
I don't think he went through that system. I forgot his name though. He's good though.
Yeah, he's a baller.
That one scored a bad goal against Barca back in the Champions League. It was 2 years ago.
Oh, for real?
But when Ronaldo was there.
Yeah.
I mean, they always seem to be creating some good players, but I guess because their population is huge as well.
There's some floating around in the EPL, but I don't know their names. But there's some, like if you go look at the lineups, you'll see some American playing there. But I think it could be, so to speak, that the earlier years they were there and then they come over to Europe.
I guess it's the opportunity that your country can create for you.
There you go, no doubt.
Yeah, but like obviously tell us your experience like being a coach and now also being a player. I mean, being opposite actually. Being a player and now being a coach.
Definitely, I think obviously as a player, right? So you sort of like when you start as a player, you're always fine tuning your game individually. You're always fine tuning. You're always doing your best that you can to be in the starting 11 and also perform on the weekend. So that was a mentality of mine when you're playing, obviously NPL, youth, and going up, because as a player, you always want to be starting, you always want to be playing consistently. So you're always finding ways to improve, finding ways to fine tune your game, finding ways where you're working in your certain position to make sure it flourishes on the weekend. So to speak, that transcends into being a coach, because you're always fine tuning yourself as a coach. You're always connecting with different players, connecting with different personalities.
Transferable skills.
Absolutely. And you're also reinventing and try to tap into their potential. So you're trying to, so to speak, exceed their levels by challenging them outside their comfort zone. So to speak, that's the biggest thing from being a player and a coach. And then you sort of know the demands. So when you're in a player's shoes and then now you're transcending that into a coach's perspective, you know what the player's going through. You know
what it takes and all that
absolutely.
stuff.
You know what their mindset is like. Some days are good, some days aren't good. Some days you come off a big win, some days you come off a big loss. Sometimes you play, sometimes you don't play. Yeah. And then you're just giving that positive reinforcement every time to these players. So they just, breed like, confidence,
As an individual coach, obviously you coach a lot of quality players, individual trainings and stuff. How important would you say training is? Because I feel like a lot of kids this generation are bloody lazy.
Do you mean like training as in like team training or doing extras?
Both. Like, for me, like my experience in terms of like team training in the NPL system, I don't think a lot of the boys come in with the mindset that I'm going to train.
Nah, I agree with you. It's like a social...
It's like they come in, like a social event or like they just say, I'm just here to train. But like they don't come with the mentality is, I'm gonna
get 1% better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, look, I think it's definitely important. Like I said, when I was in America, right? So one of the biggest sports there is basketball. So I was playing soccer over there, or football. I call it football, they call it soccer. You get in arguments when you're over there talking about that, right? So every time I'd walk over to the training field, they've got to go through like the past the basketball facility, and there are always players in there getting their shots up, doing individual ball handling skills every day, and I'm like, because you know how it's competitive to make it in basketball, so to speak. It's competitive to make it over football over here.
Yeah.
So I was seeing that every day. Play that was the culture. Everybody, I mean, the individual player working on their game day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. So I was like, having that sort of mindset to bring it into an individual concept. That's why I got into what I got into in terms of training players individually.
I see. So that's where the clinical
football came about, because I felt like it's definitely a market where you can take the player in a closer lens. And then refine their skills and refine their technique so they can produce it come weekend.
They won't find that in a team training. Because in the team training, it's more about how you're going to play in the weekend.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things where you just haven't got access to it, and
the coach doesn't have enough time to work on everyone's weaknesses in the team and stuff like that.
They're expecting you to come in there ready to go.
Yeah, of course.
You have to be the finishing article, and you get in there and produce pretty much.
Sometimes the passing drills, hence why the coach gets mad, because like simple shit. Simple passes.
Nah, you good.
Simple.
But honestly, bro, I hated doing the passing drills. Like, put me in the 6-a-side games, bro.
As a midfield, I love passing drills.
I think growing up, I
like the shooting drills.
Nah, I was a striker. But honestly, bro, I liked playing like 3 teams or like 2 teams in the Joker sort of thing, small side, bro. Because I want to get like 1,000 touches on the ball.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing a passing drill where it's pass and move or pass and the wall pass, and then, you know,
that's dope.
Turn the corner. It's like if you're a player that has got those skills mostly down, you're only getting the ball 2-3 times in that, like, you know, 10 minutes or like,
I get you.
It's like if I'm playing a small sided game, then I'm working on so many skills as well. I'm checking my shoulder, I'm bouncing off the walls.
So those
and having the joker as well. It's like keeping your mentality.
Those small sided possession games are really good. I think when when growing up, to be honest, when you started early on, young ages, I think shooting was one of them. Games, you obviously love to play a lot of games. As you started getting a bit older and mature in the game and started finding your way, you started valuing a lot of passing practices and passing and movement things, and you sort of see how it resonates with the game, and then you never took them for granted, because if you did, you could sometimes make uncharacteristic mistakes.
Silly mistakes.
And you're like, it goes back to that, valuing all those sort of things. So
I guess with passing, one thing people don't realize is, especially like even the professionals at top level. I was watching a video of Messi and Busquets just doing the simple passings. Like people think that you go to training, passing drills, it's just the same. I know how to pass already. But you really don't. You got to keep refining your skill. You know, that's just how that's for me personally. Soccer, if you're not refining your skill, you're going to be left behind.
Like alluding to what you're saying, like with passing, like there's so many avenues. I could go all day in terms of passing, of types of passes.
I mean, I've seen you pass the ball in the midfield, bro.
That's why I sort of honed into a lot of passing, lots of hours of passing, left foot, right foot, driven passes, lofted passes, could go all day. 30, 40 yards, those sort of things are the differences of why when you go and overseas and you see some of the, like I was in Spain one time, and like there was a coach that were doing like a tactical session, and he was just zipping balls from left, right, and getting the team to shift. It was just eye-opening.
So he was the one zipping the ball.
Yeah, it was zipping the ball. I was like, it was like eye-opening, something like unseen when you go over there. And I was like, wow, this guy was like effortlessly.
Have you seen the video of Xabi Alonso doing that?
Oh, yes. It was something like that.
Something like that,
Effortlessly, however, he's doing it effortlessly. I guess it's just thousands of reps doing that.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's definitely an appreciation of the art itself. So
Yeah.
Who's your favorite player?
oh wow, I got with me, right? I think
Mine's a Chelsea fan. Probably gonna say
right now, believe it or not, it's Luka Modric.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean,
know
bro?
what?
He's a baller, bro.
Baller.
You know,
Bro, if you just watch him, bro, oh my God.
you know what? I think, look, to be honest, I like players that I could resonate to,
Okay.
close as much to. So back in the day, I used to be, some of these players that you like, some of these players that were my favorite, you'll just laugh. Like John Obi Mikel was one of mine.
Oh yeah.
But he's a baller.
Because he was just very simple and similar stature type of thing. Yaya Toure was another one. Patrick Vieira was another one.
Yaya Toure.
Yeah, he was another one. I liked a lot of those simplistic sort of midfielders.
Sergio Busquets.
Yeah, Busquets was nice. However, I felt like, I was like, could I do that? Could I actually do it?
Busquets does. It's hard.
Bro, it looks so simple.
It's composure.
Yeah,
I was like, could I really do a snap back in, like a V snap in the middle of the field like that? Could I do that? I don't know. But like, don't get me wrong. Yes, he was definitely a pleasure to watch.
For
But
me, I think Claude Makelele.
he was.
But he was so energetic, bro.
That's the point. Because we played together, me and Ibby. I was usually just the engine.
Yeah.
He'll be like the mastermind.
Okay.
Yeah, we're definitely a combo to play, man. It's always exciting to play against with a player with
Kalia up at 10.
Yeah, he's another engine player that can play with both feet. That's the thing is when you obviously play with good players that complement your type of style of football, it makes it easier for you. So like if you have a player that's a tough tackler or covers the pitch, and then you've got a player that likes to thread the needle and pass and break lines. And
You're that player, though.
Yeah, so it sort of
Michael,
complements.
you gotta come into Sierra Leonean team.
Bro, let's go, bro. I love, bro. I'm always running. I'm always waiting for the
Bring it
ball.
down.
Let's
No
go.
problem. Get the boots on. Bring it down.
Let's go. I'm ready, bro.
Love it. Yeah, no. So it's definitely.
What's been the most rewarding part of like your whole footballing experience? Was it playing, like those highs and lows? Is it coaching?
I think it's the journey itself. Like when you start playing, right?
That's what you think
So
about,
when you start at a young age playing, and in my experience, right? Because when I started playing NPL, right, and like, you know how the fees and all that's expensive.
Yeah.
I get that, right? And then your parents are the ones paying for you, right? So you can't turn around and goes, "Oh, I'm not playing," and goes, "Hey, I paid the fees. Hey, I paid the fees. You got to make it work."
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to sort of get in the door. Whether you got to be versatile in your position to try and get in somehow. So. So there was a year when I came in as a 10, played as a 6, played as in defense, played on the wing, all those sort of things.
Just to get yourself on the team sheet.
Yeah, just to do whatever it takes to play consistently. So that was, in that nutshell, just being versatile. So then now when you transcend that being versatile in the coaching space, it's like you being versatile of working with beginners, working with intermediate players, working with professional players, and then working with some players that come overseas in off season and working with those sort of players. It's you being versatile and adapting to those sort of styles. So it's definitely a blessing to have that sort of mindset of being versatile and adapting different styles. So
how much has that helped you in like outside of football, in like life skills?
I think like the way you look at it, if you transfer it in that case, you have this mindset like out of life, any job that you put in front of me, I'll do it to my best of ability, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So like, let's just say, before I was doing coaching full time, I was working in IT. I was working in an office in IT.
Okay.
So I used to just do IT at the best of my ability, just be productive, work on obviously emails, blah, 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 all those sort of things, everything before the deadline. So it sort of had my mindset to transfer it over to football. Just any play you put in front of me, I'll be able to maximize his talent to the best of the ability. That's the mindset.
That's a good mindset to have. I think a lot of young generations should have that mindset if they want to excel in football, to be honest.
Absolutely. Like if you put in a player's perspective, right? Like sometimes you might be a player that's coming in, you're starting off with 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and you come in and say, "Hey, I'm going to max out these 10 minutes. I'm gonna chase every ball down. I'm gonna close every player down. I'm gonna
make myself as effective as possible.
I'm gonna be positive on every single touch and all those sort of things. And then
scariest thing is when your team is winning.
Yeah,
your bench coming on.
Literally, bro.
It up.
Butterflies, bro. Hard.
I know. We've been in those.
When there's a player and you're on the bench and you just like, I hope that guy does shit so I can come in and make.
That's in the mindset, especially the one that's in your position.
Oh my God.
We've been there. We've been there because especially when you're trying to crack into a team and they're always winning. It's very tough to make changes. So I guess that's just obviously comes with the territory of staying ready.
But that's where the training comes in as well. Like if you don't train hard, the other person's training hard.
Not catching up. Like, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
That's exactly right. Like, as a footballer, you've got to understand that, like, especially whether you're trying to make it in the game, like, there's a million of those players fighting for your position. What do you bring into the table that's different? So, like, because so to speak, when you might go to trials locally or abroad, it's not only you're not the only person they're looking at. There could be 5-6 other guys they're looking at. There could be some guy from Europe. There could be a guy from Africa coming to take your position.
Someone's already sent their CV, just waiting.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely could speak from experience. I went to this was I think when I was playing in the US and then I played a bit in Thailand, right? So like we went to a trial. There's like 5-6 other guys coming in.
Wow,
guys like freaks of nature, but. At the same time, I came in thinking, and honing on my position. And then I prevailed. So it was good. It was dope. So it's just the thing is, you got to come in the mindset, what are you bringing different to the table?
Yeah.
Get me? Yeah.
How important is like mindset, like apart from like skill and like raw talent, like, for example, do you ever find that you're coaching somebody that's an absolute baller, but like, how do you tune their mentality? Like if they kind of have that cocky mentality or that like, I'm uncoachable mentality sort of thing.
Yeah. It just again, there's a couple ways you can look at it. Like
get them doggies.
You can look at things like that. Yeah. Doggies for you. But that's not my method. But it's just it obviously comes down to the individual, because football is always it's a revolving sort of sport where you're in one level, but things can change. You could be. That's how I always try to remind. Football is always changing. One time you can be signed. One time you're thinking you're going to be making all this money, and you're like, man, I'm going to be making this, and this. Before you know it, some guy comes in. You're not in the starting lineup. Sometimes, things like that can happen. So you're always reminded to these players, and you could use examples to say, hey, football can change at any time. You could have a bad game, and before you know it, that person comes in, he gets a hat-trick.
Honestly, I've seen a lot of kids, like people that I've known that, amazing ballers, but their attitude.
Bro, it's exactly what I wanted to say. Like some kids, like you'd be growing up the whole time. It's like, he's going pro. He's like such a baller. But like you'd start getting develop that like cocky mentality, and then like boom, what happens? You think about it 5 years later. It's like, I never heard from that guy.
Yeah, definitely been around. I've been around a lot of that. I mean, I've had players that I've been close with that were talented, bad attitude, or just in terms of how things were going through the youth days, right? Like everything was given, like everything was, didn't have to try out, picked, didn't have to earn his place in the squad, played badly every game, still in the squad, and then it sort of catches up to you when you go into the professional game.
Of course,
it's not there anymore.
Nothing's given.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's sort of, some of those things catch up to you. Like
it's almost like setbacks are very important in like development of like just a person and in development of football.
And then when you get when it catches up to you, like, oh wow, it's a whole different sort of ball game when it doesn't pan out the way it was when you were younger, and then it's like, am I going to change or am I going to just pack it up? So I've had a couple of friends that just said, hey, this ain't for me. It wasn't as it was back in the day, so this ain't for me. So, it's just to the individual, if you just want to get a self-realization and change it. Yeah.
So like Ibby, obviously you're a big part of the Australian football culture. You've trained a lot of quality players from women to men. So like, what's your view on how football is progressing now in Australia?
You can definitely see that it's progressing in terms of, firstly, the numbers. I mean, you're getting a lot more players participating in the game of football.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot more, obviously, synthetic fields out there. You're getting a lot more interest of players. So, so to speak, it's a good thing. You're seeing a lot of numbers and players that are interested in playing football. You're seeing a lot of, so to speak, females playing the game of football as well and want to take their game to the next level. Now you're starting to see that growth, which is good. You're starting to see more coaches out there putting a platform for them to improve their game, which is a good thing as well.
Yeah.
And so to speak, it's a definitely good thing. Now the resources are becoming more accessible to players to try and improve, which is that's a good thing in a growth sense, because you always, now it's more easier to get access. Before, back in the day, with my time, I had to actually go out and read books to develop. There was no, this was before when YouTube was coming about. There was more of you sometimes watching the game, watching full-length games. So I still do now. I try to watch a lot more full-length games rather than overnight goals and highlights and things like that. Because sometimes a lot of it, you're getting a lot of resources just watching the full game. But it's definitely improving in the numbers and now the media availability of seeing A-League teams and things, which is good. And it's definitely a good thing to see, because if it can grow here, just that you don't have to sacrifice much for your kids to go overseas and things like that. So
that's true.
Yeah, so that's dope.
So like, what areas of improvements now do you think that Australian football or football culture can improve on?
Obviously, you want to try and get it obviously on the path towards where Europe is and all those big participating countries are. And it's obviously going to take time with that relegation and promotion thing to the A-League and things. That's going to take time, and you just try to see if get more teams out there, get more. I think there's only one professional league, so getting another professional league would be good. But obviously, it's just one of those things where maybe I don't know in terms of the finance how that's going to come about. But that's the sort of thing that you once you get more professional teams, and then feeder clubs and all those sort of things, that could be another way that it can improve. And then from the grassroots of getting some players can afford it, some players can't. But that's the world we're living in now. It's getting expensive these days, but hopefully it can become more affordable for talented players, and just exceed. Branching more of the pathways, and that'd be a good thing. But it's one of those things where people have to sit down and sort of hone in on the details of how that can happen.
Big news though.
Yep.
For those watching, the B League have announced the group stages. If you haven't seen it yet, I think you guys should check it out. Basically, like obviously you're talking about chances and all that.
Yeah.
Like being a second league would be a great opportunity for us to just grow as a nation and football nation. I think if we, the ones in the grassroots level for the event, if we just keep pushing for this B League to actually happen, and
of course,
pushing for relegation, we're gonna create that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just like a thing with time. I mean, obviously, it's all going to come down to be honest, it's going to also come down to the people as well. I mean, we've got to get down to the games. I mean, hey, if we pack out the stadiums, more revenue, more money.
Yeah,
opportunities come about. So it's about trying to get out there and support the league on its own, and that'll be a way of it going forward.
People should start supporting the local NPL teams.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. I mean, for it to grow, it definitely has to start.
Grow, we all start saying, okay, I support this NPL team, and then you just start supporting that local team.
Yeah.
And if anyone's doing that, I think that's when we can start seeing some revenue, some growth in the game, some passion, some desire. But if we're just waiting for the higher ups to start saying, okay, let's just put relegation. I mean, relegation would be a great.
But if they put that in, more people are gonna want to come see these big games.
Because
People are gonna it's natural. That's the problem. It's like you can't like say, oh, we're like obviously it's good to support your local, but it's like if it's boring season after season after season, it's like, all right, they came last, they came second last.
But that's the A-League though. But with the MPO is different.
Yeah, that's true. No,
relegation.
Right. Yeah,
it's like that.
But imagine like A-League teams versus MPL teams, bro. You want to watch those games,
you definitely like to see that.
Did you see that in the Australian Cup?
Yeah.
I remember when
and they're good, but like people go down to those games.
Oh yeah, I remember. I went to I remember when going to. I think it was Spirit FC against Melbourne Victory. I was on the synthetic. Yeah,
was it this year? Yeah,
it was. I think it was
last year.
I think it was.
It was last year.
I think it was like a Wednesday game.
It was last.
It was a bit obviously a bit weird seeing A-League team on synthetic. I hadn't seen it before, so it was weird to see it close up. And it was packed. It was hard to get parking on that day.
Park as well.
Christie Park, and it looked like it was definitely an experience. But it was just weird seeing an A-League team on a synthetic field, but definitely a lot of people packed out there. So
that's what you like to see.
That's it. Making the games worthwhile.
It's passion.
Exactly.
You know? So anyways, Ibby, like it's been a pleasure having you down here. Like, thank you so much for coming down. For those of you who are willing to train individually, hit up Ibby Clinical Drills. These drills are built. I think I said that wrong.
It's clinical.football, but drills and things. I'm about. You see. I mean, you see.
I think you should tell them the top of the players that you've trained. Like,
oh wow, I've been blessed to train some that have still playing A-League from the likes of Charles and Mwamba. Shout out to him. Trained when Garen Qual came. Trained him. That was definitely an eye-opening experience for me. Probably one of the best experiences to train him. Trained with Adrian Segicic, Reece Yuli.
Wow.
Abdul Kuku's playing in. He's playing
in Sudan.
Yeah, he played Sudan national team. Played a couple of W League players. Obviously, some of the footage I can't put out, but and obviously Abdul Faisal, I trained him when he was coming about COVID days, and he's doing his thing at Central Coast. And so those just to name a few. Obviously, I've had some from
and the girls as well.
I've had a couple that played in the W League and things like that, and some that play. So I trained two that played for the national team.
Wow.
Yeah, one played at Lebanon, another one played in Turkey. So it's been dope. And,
which one at Lebanon?
Maya. Khalil.
I think I know.
Trained. I did a session with her.
She was good, man.
Quality player. Did many sessions with players that play for the national teams, and you could just tell like the energy they bring to when they come to train. They're locked in. And, it's definitely.
That's why I keep saying training is important.
Of course.
Players do not get there just for the sake of saying they got there.
And it's not a coincidence. All the players that are playing high level are doing one-on-one coaching and stuff.
There's a lot of behind the scenes dedication, just professional sort of habits on and off the field.
That's a good way to say it.
Got to invest in your ability, guys. Invest in yourself. Invest in your football. Nothing in this world does not come without investment.
Absolutely.
Whether it's your time in studying, whether it's your time training, whether anything, you just got to invest.
100%.
Like I really appreciate you coming down, Ibby.
Appreciate you, my guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate Ibby.
My guy.
See you on the pitch.